What's up to all my freelancers and creatives? This is Nathan and welcome to Traffic Talk. Traffic Talk is a segment of the Freelance Jumpstart Podcast where you ask direct questions and I give you direct answers all on my daily commute. So this question specifically is from a Reddit user and they're asking the following question. How do you politely explain to a client that you don't work for free? And just a little bit of context here. I work with small businesses and I frequently get asked to do things that seem innocuous, but they're actually veiled requests for free work. For example, a client will have a short blog post and they'll say, let me know if I need to make changes, which is really, hey, can you proofread this for me? Most of the time they're small requests, so it feels rude to say I need to bill for that when it's just a quick in the moment thing, but over time it adds up. What is the best way to deal with these requests? So on this answer, it's similar to different things I've said in the past. I've talked about revision cycles, which is where you set up a certain number of revisions or changes, and you give the client a certain number of rounds. And anytime they want to make a change, it counts as a round of revision. Once their rounds are up, they need to pay for more. But in what you're saying, it's a little deeper than just doing revision cycles. Taking a step back from that, really, client management is all about relationships. And I would first ask, how is your relationship with this client? And are you trying to build more trust, or do you already have their trust? How long have you been working with this client? And I say that because if there's trust between you all and they like you, and they're overall a good client, they pay on time, they listen to your suggestions, they take your leadership, you tell them to do one thing as a business professional, and they receive it. So if they're a good client, then you doing smaller tasks really is just a relationship builder. I will admit I do understand what you're saying because the same thing has happened to me. Someone will ask for something thinking it's small, but they don't know how long it's really going to take. So it doesn't matter their perception on how big or small it is. They're not the one to evaluate how difficult it is to execute. You as a professional would be evaluating how much time is that going to take. But like you said in your question, you said over time things kind of build up and it can be time consuming. Many small tasks add up to a large block of time that's been used. So in your case, I would suggest a couple of things. The first thing I would suggest is talk to your client about setting up some type of monthly retainer. You can say to your client, I enjoy working with you. You are a great client and I want to continue to build our relationship forward. I've noticed many times, or I've noticed 6 times, 5 times, whatever it may be. I've noticed 5 times that you've asked me to make smaller changes here and there. But I want to make sure I'm serving you best. So I have created specifically for your needs a monthly retainer. What this means is for editing, and this is where you list the things that they normally ask you for. So you tell your client what this monthly retainer will include is proofreading on your blog post, or you give them a number. Proofreading 5 blog posts a month. It also includes making certain changes to the menu navigation, and just list the things that they're talking about. So say the monthly retainer you've come up with, list all the things that they're asking you for, and tell them how much it's going to be. If you have an hourly rate, this should probably be the estimated amount of time this has taken you multiplied by your hourly rate, something like that. And you can tell them, every month, well, if you pay this fee, I'll gladly take care of these things for you, and this is what it includes. So that's the first option. Present that to them and let the client make a decision on whether or not they want to do that as a service. Secondarily, if they ask you for that again, say something like this. Really my professional duties entail, I don't know if you're a web designer, graphic designer, what have you, I'm not sure, but let them know my professional job duties is a graphic designer. And I focus on graphic design, and that is my wheelhouse. That is my expertise. That is my specialty. I don't want to do you a disservice by doing things such as proofreading or copywriting that I am not the best at. Therefore, this time, this is when they ask you, so this time I will attempt to do it as a courtesy, but going forward, I think it would be best for you and you would get the best return if you used a fill in the blank. And fill in the blank is whatever service or whatever other freelancer that does the work you're asking for. So in my case, I do a lot of web design. I would probably say, I've noticed that you've asked me 3 times for proofreading your blog post for the website I built for you. As a web designer, this is not my area of expertise. I would hate for me to try to edit something for you, and the proofreading job I do is just not up to standard because I'm not an editor. So I want to make sure that you get the best service for what you really need, and that your content is really edited to be the best that it can be. Therefore, I would suggest that you move forward with, and I would mention another freelancer, or I'd mention a service. I think it would be best if you contact copy hackers. They're experts when it comes to copywriting and evaluation. I'd give them choices, right? Because maybe there are different prices. So number one, I would probably refer them to copy hackers or a freelance copywriter that I know that they can work with. If that won't work for them, I would probably say another option that you could do as well is there is a service called Grammarly. And Grammarly checks for over 400 mistakes and grammar checks and it does way more than Microsoft Word ever does. So I would recommend the service called Grammarly at grammarly.com. Lastly, I would recommend something. So I'm giving them tiers. I'm giving them a freelancer, one. I'm giving them a software as a service they can use themselves. And the third option, I would say, there's a talk that I listened to at a conference, and the talk is called How to Edit Your Own Copy. It's very well done. It's very well put together, and they mention many resources that you could use to really edit your own copy. And I know I can't do it because I'm focused more so on web design. So I'd mention that. So again, just to sum everything up, client keeps asking you for certain things, small tasks that add up over time. So number one, try to set up a monthly retainer and say, based upon what you normally ask me for, pay this monthly fee and I'll do these extra services for you. And make sure it's clearly defined. Make sure they sign something for that. That's an addition or an update to the contract. Make sure they sign for that, and then invoice them, and don't do any work until they pay you, right? And the second thing was, make sure to refer them to someone else, because you're not the best person to do the job, and refer them in 3 different ways. 1, refer them to another freelancer. 2, refer them to a software as a service if it exists for the thing they're asking for. More than likely it does. And the third option is some type of free content or free blog post or free video on YouTube. Give them some type of free service or video, really, that's at no cost, and they can really read the blog post, watch the video themselves, and teach themselves how to do it. Thank you for taking the time to check out this video. I greatly appreciate it. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you for taking the time to listen as I answer this specific question. Remember, when it comes to Traffic Talk, I'm open to any and all questions, and it doesn't matter how you ask them. I'm more than willing to answer as many questions as I can. You can reach out to me on Twitter at Nathan Allotey. If not on Twitter, go to my website, nathanallotey.com. There's a specific section under podcasts called Traffic Talk. You can ask your questions there. And if not that, like I said, this question came from Reddit. So even on Reddit, if questions are continually asked, I'll dive into the conversation and answer those questions as well. I do the same thing on Twitter and other places also. Again, thanks for checking out this episode, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.